Have you ever noticed that the mind becomes loudest precisely when you need it to be quiet? When you're searching for an answer, trying desperately to understand something, or longing for a sense of direction, the mind begins to whirl like a frantic dancer who has forgotten the choreography. And yet, the moment you stop chasing clarity, the moment you fall still, the truth you were hunting quietly steps out from behind the curtain, as if it had been waiting for you to stop making so much noise. It's one of life's oldest jokes, and I assure you, the universe has a fine sense of humor. We humans are peculiar creatures. We believe that if we think harder, push more intensely, clench our inner muscles tightly enough, we will force reality to reveal itself. But truth is not a fortress to be stormed. Truth is a lake, and a lake only becomes clear when it is still. Consider this image for a moment. Imagine standing before a vast mountain lake at dawn. The water is perfectly motionless. No ripples, no wind, no disturbance. Just an endless mirror. In that stillness, the reflection of the mountain becomes sharp, almost more real than the mountain itself. You can see every ridge, every tree, every detail. But toss a pebble into that lake, and the whole world on its surface dissolves into broken fragments of light. This is precisely what thought does to your life. Your mind is the pebble, your thoughts are the ripples, and the truth, the actual truth, is the mountain reflected in a perfectly quiet lake. Stillness reveals what thinking distorts, but modern people, especially in the West, have been trained to believe the opposite. We think that constant thinking is a sign of intelligence. We think that a restless mind is a productive mind. And in the United States, where the culture moves at the speed of ambition, many people feel almost guilty if they stop, if they rest, if they simply breathe. And yet, my dear listener, you cannot think your way into peace. You cannot analyze yourself into understanding. You cannot force your way into awakening. Understanding arises the same way a flower opens, not by effort, but by surrender. And surrender requires stillness. The truth hides in the spaces between thoughts. Let me tell you something the mind hopes you never discover. Everything you are searching for, every insight, every wisdom, every release from suffering, resides in the tiny gap between your thoughts. That small, quiet opening is where life whispers its secrets. But you rarely hear it because most of us live imprisoned inside an ongoing narration, a compulsive commentary that never stops talking about you, judging you, defending you, comparing you, fearing for you. The mind is like a loud roommate who refuses to take a breath. It will talk over everything, even the answers you are begging for. So the art of stillness is not about silencing the mind by force. It is about not feeding it, not wrestling with it, not chasing every thought like a dog running after cars. When you stop running, the cars pass on their own. Thoughts, too, pass on their own. And the moment they pass, you meet the one who has been here all along, the awareness watching the thoughts, the awareness underneath them, the awareness untouched by them. And that awareness is where truth begins. The listener's inner world. You may not realize how exhausted you are, not from life itself, but from thinking about life all day long. You may feel heavy, Not because reality is heavy, but because carrying the mind's endless stories is like dragging a suitcase filled with rocks through every moment of your existence. You may feel confused, not because truth is complicated, but because noise makes everything appear confusing. Stillness is the great simplifier. Stillness removes what was never yours. Stillness dissolves illusions that thought keeps painting on the walls of your mind. And when the noise finally quiets, you find something breathtakingly simple. You were never lost. You were never broken. You were never missing anything. You were simply distracted. Distracted by thoughts that were never wise enough to lead you. The paradox of control. One of the most painful misunderstandings modern people carry is this: if I don't think constantly, everything will fall apart. But this is the great cosmic punchline. The more you try to control life through thought, the more chaotic life becomes. The more you relax, the more life organizes itself. The nervous system settles. Breathing deepens. Perception widens. And reality begins to reveal itself as it truly is, not as your fears imagined it to be. This is why mystics, sages, and ordinary people who accidentally stumble into an experience of profound stillness often say, "I felt like I woke up inside my own life, as if everything was clear for the very first time." Because stillness doesn't add clarity, stillness removes the obstacles to clarity. It is subtraction, not addition. It unclutters the window so you can finally see through the glass. And when you see through the glass, when the mind stops trembling, you understand something astonishing. Life is not happening to you. Life is happening with you, as you, through you. And the more still you become, the more obvious this becomes. The first door opens. So perhaps you are listening now, not just with your ears, but with that deeper part of yourself that remembers something ancient, something you knew before the world taught you to chase, to compete, to rush, to worry. There is a softness inside you that has been waiting a very long time to be recognized. Stillness is the key that opens that door. And as we walk through that door together, we begin to discover why stillness reveals more truth than thought ever could. Not because thought is the enemy, but because truth is subtle and thought is loud. The loudness must quiet for the subtle to be heard. This is where our journey truly begins. Let us step a little deeper now, not outward into more ideas, but inward into the silent space where ideas dissolve like mist touched by sunlight. Because if the first secret of stillness is that truth appears when thought quiets, then the second secret is even more extraordinary. Thought trembles. Awareness does not. Your thoughts shake like leaves in the wind. Awareness is the sky above them. And somewhere inside you, you already know this. The difference between you and your thoughts. There is a strange, almost magical moment that every human being experiences at some point, though often so briefly that it is forgotten. It happens in the pause between two thoughts. That tiny, almost imperceptible gap. For just an instant, you are simply here, present, clear, unburdened. You do not disappear in that moment. On the contrary, you become more yourself than ever. Because you are not the thinker. You are the awareness in which thinking happens. Thoughts pass. Awareness remains. Emotions surge. Awareness stays steady. Images appear and vanish like waves, but awareness is the ocean they rise from. So when people say, "I can't find peace," what they really mean is, "I'm searching for peace through thought." But thought is incapable of giving you peace, because thought is movement, it is motion, it is turbulence, and turbulence cannot produce stillness. Peace appears only when you step behind the movement and rest as the awareness of it. This is why the practice of stillness is not about stopping thought. Trying to stop thought is like trying to stop the wind with your bare hands. You only create more resistance. Stillness is not a battle. Stillness is permission. It is the gentle realization, I am not the storm. I am the sky. The listener and their shadow. Now, let's talk about you. Not the public you, not the version of you trying so hard to be acceptable or impressive, but the quiet you, the hidden you, the one who listens to these words in the privacy of your inner world. Because you may have noticed something. Silence is not always comfortable at first. In fact, it can feel frightening. Why? Because when the noise of the mind settles, everything you have been avoiding finally becomes visible. Old pains, buried fears, unfinished memories, questions you never dared to ask yourself, grief you never allowed to be felt. These shadows come to the surface, not to harm you, but to be dissolved by your awareness. Stillness is not empty. Stillness is healing. But in the beginning, healing can feel like breaking. Not because you are breaking, but because the illusions that imprisoned you are breaking. And illusions scream as they die. This is why many people avoid silence. It is not because silence is unbearable, but because truth is. Yet once you pass through that first turbulence, once you allow the shadows to rise and fall without fighting them, you discover something extraordinary. What remains is peace. A peace not given by thoughts, not produced by effort, not manufactured through affirmations or philosophies, but a peace that comes from simply being. Peace that needs no permission. The Western paradox, chasing
This is
peace
perfect.
violently. In the United States, where many of you listening are from, there is a peculiar cultural habit. People try to achieve peace by force. You meditate aggressively. You breathe intensely. You self-improve like you are training for a competition. You schedule relaxation like a task to be checked off a list. But a mind trying to be peaceful is a mind still at war. True peace does not come from effort. True peace comes from surrender. Surrender is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is giving in. Giving in to the reality that you are not the controller of life, but a participant in its dance. When you relax the compulsive need to manage every outcome, your body softens, your breath deepens, your mind clears, and suddenly, the things you were chasing begin to approach you. This is the paradox of stillness. What you release reveals itself. What you stop pursuing begins to find you. Peace, clarity, direction, insight, creativity, even love. All of it flows toward the still mind, like birds flying toward a quiet tree. The field beneath the world. Let me offer you an image. a metaphor that might stay with you for years. Imagine lying on a warm field at night beneath a sky full of stars. The world around you is quiet. The air is calm. There is no urgency anywhere in the universe. In that stillness, you suddenly feel something remarkable. That life itself is holding you. That existence is not a problem to be solved, but an experience to be felt. You feel connected, not through thought, but through presence. And then you understand, not intellectually, not philosophically, but directly, that the entire universe is happening inside awareness, and you are that awareness. Thoughts are like fireflies flickering across the field. Beautiful, yes, but small, faint, temporary. Awareness is the night sky itself. Infinite, stable, untouched. When you realize this, something fundamental shifts. You no longer cling to thought for identity. You no longer depend on emotion for meaning. You no longer fear silence, because you have come home to the deeper truth that what you are is not fragile. What you are is vast. The practical side of stillness. Now you might be wondering, how do I live this? How do I bring stillness into everyday life? The beautiful thing is, you don't have to add anything. You only need to remove what is unnecessary. Stillness is not a technique. Stillness is a habit of remembering. Remembering that you don't need to chase every thought. Remembering that you don't need to fix every feeling. Remembering that awareness is always here, soft, present, patient. You simply return to it, again and again, moment after moment, not as discipline, not as duty, but as a gentle homecoming. Stillness is what happens when you stop trying to be anything else. This understanding is the doorway, and once you step through it, everything in your life begins to change. Not dramatically at first, but subtly, beautifully, quietly, the way dawn rises. And as this dawn begins to rise in you, you start to discover a deeper layer of the mystery. Stillness does not just reveal truth. Stillness is truth, and thought, for all its cleverness, can only circle around it, never touch it. But you can, because you are the stillness beneath the thinking. And now, we go even deeper. If you followed me this far, something subtle may already be shifting inside you, a loosening, a softening, as if some inner rope that has long been knotted is beginning to untie itself. This is the miracle of stillness. It does not work through force, it works through recognition. And the deeper you recognize the stillness within you, the more you begin to sense a profound truth hidden beneath all your thoughts, fears, and anxieties. Life itself is intelligent. Not intellectually, not logically, but organically, instinctively, intrinsically. There is a quiet intelligence woven into every breath you take, every moment you encounter, every choice you make, and every person who enters your life. And the more still you become, the more clearly you perceive this intelligence at work. The mind plans, but life moves. You may have noticed that whenever you try to tightly control the direction of your life, to carve it into the exact shape you believe it should be, things begin to feel strained, heavy, unnatural. Plans collapse, expectations disappoint, People surprise you. Emotions rebel. Thought says, "This is not how life is supposed to be." But think of a river for a moment. The river does not move in a straight line. It curves, bends, twists, widens, narrows. It hits rocks and finds new paths. It flows not through willpower, but through its very nature. And so do you. The river is intelligent, not because it thinks, but because it flows. Life is intelligent, not because it solves equations, but because it moves. And you are intelligent, not because you analyze everything to exhaustion, but because you can sense the direction of the river within. This sensing, this quiet listening, only becomes possible when the noise of constant thinking fades. Stillness allows you to feel the current. An example from your own life. Consider a moment, not long ago, when something in your life unfolded perfectly without your planning. Perhaps you met someone by chance, or stumbled onto an opportunity, or discovered an ability you didn't know you had, or healed in a way you didn't expect. Life presented something to you the mind could never have orchestrated, and afterward, you said something like, "It just happened naturally," or "I felt guided," or "It was the right thing, even though I didn't understand why at the time." What if I told you that this is how life always works when you stop interfering through overthinking? When you become still, you stop blocking the intelligence of life. You stop interrupting the river. You stop arguing with the very force carrying you forward. Stillness aligns you with something greater than your individual will. The movement of existence itself. The problem with constant thinking. Thought is a magnificent tool, but a terrible master. When thinking is useful, it feels light, creative, effective. But when thinking becomes compulsive, when it runs constantly, anxiously, without rest, it disconnects you from the very intelligence that could guide you effortlessly. The mind becomes like a spinning wheel with no traction, all motion, no direction. That is why so many intelligent, talented people feel lost, not because they lack ability, but because they are drowning in thought, and thought blinds them to the deeper currents shaping their path. A noisy mind cannot hear life. A still mind hears everything. Stillness is not ignorance. Stillness is clarity. The body knows before the mind does. Let me tell you a secret your mind finds very inconvenient. Your body knows truth before your thoughts do. Have you noticed this? You enter a room and instantly feel tension before you think anything. You meet someone and sense comfort or caution before you form a single idea. You make a decision and your chest tightens or your breath softens long before your analytical mind finishes evaluating the pros and cons. Your body is an instrument tuned to the intelligence of life. Stillness is how you learn to hear it. Thought may lie. Fear may exaggerate. Ego may distort. But the body speaks honestly. It whispers, "Not this. This is right. Slow down. Go here. Leave now. Stay." Yet these whispers are subtle, and thought is loud. So without stillness, you miss the guidance woven directly into your physiology. Is it any wonder you feel confused? The science of silence, but made simple. Let's bring this down to something practical, something even your analytical mind can appreciate. When you enter stillness, your nervous system shifts from survival mode into restoration. Your breath deepens naturally, without effort. Brainwave patterns shift toward clarity and creativity. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for insight, activates more fully. Emotional turbulence settles, allowing intuition to rise. This is not spirituality versus science. This is spirituality experienced scientifically through your own body. Stillness is your natural state. Stress is the interruption. What awakening actually feels like. Many people think awakening is a grand explosion of mystical energy or a sudden revelation accompanied by blinding light. But awakening, real awakening, feels much simpler. It feels like coming home. It feels like remembering something you always knew but had forgotten. It feels like taking off a heavy backpack you didn't realize you were carrying. It feels like breathing fully for the first time in years. It feels like this moment, just as it is finally enough. When you are still, the world stops being something to conquer and becomes something to experience. The moment stops being an obstacle and becomes a companion, and you stop trying to escape your life because you begin to feel life from the inside. The humility of not knowing. Now, let me offer you something very precious. Stillness reveals not just truths, but also mysteries. And one of the most liberating experiences you can have as a human being is to finally, genuinely say, I don't know. Most people fear not knowing. They cling to explanations, opinions, beliefs, conclusions. But the truly awakened mind, the still mind, does not cling. Because not knowing is spacious. Not knowing is alive. Not knowing invites possibility. When you are still, you stop insisting that life conforms to your expectations. You allow life to surprise you, and in that surprise, truth reveals itself. The greatest wisdom is not the accumulation of answers, but the surrender to mystery. Because life is not a puzzle to be solved. Life is a song to be heard, and stillness is how you finally hear it. The door to the next depth. So now we stand at a threshold, you and I, together, not as teacher and student, but as two expressions of the same awareness, meeting in the quiet space created by these words. We have explored the nature of thought, the intelligence of life, the clarity that arises from silence. But there is something deeper still, a truth so subtle, so profound, that it cannot be understood by thought at all. It can only be felt. Only in stillness. And that is where we will go next. Into the heart of what you truly are, beyond thought, beyond identity, beyond every story you have ever told yourself. Into the stillness where truth is not revealed, truth is lived. We continue. If you've arrived here, not just listening, but feeling, then something in you has already begun to wake. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, the way dawn enters a dark room through a single, patient thread of light. Because awakening is not an event. Awakening is a recognition, a remembering. And what you are remembering is that beneath every thought, every story, every fear, every hope, there is a vast and silent presence, and that presence is you. Not the you society shaped, not the you your past defined, not the you tirelessly try to fix or improve, but the deeper you, the one who has been watching your entire life unfold, like a gentle witness in the background, still, patient, untouched. The silence that watches everything. Let me invite you into a moment so simple that the mind will try to overlook it, but so profound that your very life depends on it. Close your eyes if you wish, take a soft breath, and just notice. Notice that thoughts come and go. Images rise and fade, feelings swell and dissolve. Sensations flicker across your awareness like firelight on a wall. But what does not come and go is the awareness of them. That awareness has been the same since you were a child. The same through every joy, every heartbreak, every confusion, every triumph. It is the silent observer behind the ever-changing movements of your life. And that observer is the stillness we have been speaking of. Not something to reach, not something to develop, but something to recognize. The stillness that cannot break. You may feel broken at times. You may feel lost. You may feel anxious, overwhelmed, uncertain. But the stillness beneath you has never been broken. Not once. Not even in your darkest moments. Because you cannot break awareness. You cannot damage stillness. You cannot wound the sky by throwing clouds across it. No matter how chaotic your thoughts have been, no matter how loud your fears, no matter how heavy your emotions, awareness remained open, clear, untouched. It held all of it. It survived all of it. It illuminated all of it. Awareness is the part of you that has never been hurt, never been frightened, never been confused. It simply sees. Stillness is not fragile. Stillness is indestructible. The ego's final trick. As you recognize your own awareness, the mind becomes nervous. The ego becomes unsettled. Because it begins to sense that its throne is slipping away. The ego will whisper, "You will disappear if you stop thinking. You will lose control. You will become nothing." But listen closely. The ego always lies about stillness, because stillness does not make you disappear. Stillness reveals the one who has always been here. Stillness does not turn you into nothing. Stillness shows you that you are everything. Stillness does not take control away. It dissolves the illusion that you ever needed control. And when this illusion dissolves, something remarkable happens. Life becomes lighter, more fluid, more intimate, more real. The return to suchness. There is a beautiful word from ancient traditions, suchness. It means life, just as it is, not improved, not perfected, not molded into your expectations, just this moment, in all its simplicity, its strangeness, its beauty. The mind constantly tries to escape suchness. It wants something better, bigger, faster, safer, more impressive. But notice something. The moment you return to stillness, life as it is becomes enough. The breath becomes enough. The presence of your body becomes enough. The sound of the world becomes enough. Simplicity becomes spacious. ordinariness becomes sacred. This is how stillness transforms your life, not by changing the world, but by changing the way you see the world. The end of seeking. Perhaps the greatest gift of stillness is that it ends the endless searching that exhausts so many souls. People spend their entire lives seeking meaning, seeking purpose, seeking themselves. But let me whisper something to you, very gently. You cannot find yourself through seeking. You can only find yourself through stopping the chase, stopping the struggle, stopping the belief that you are incomplete. The moment you become still, you realize that what you've been searching for is the one who is searching. And there, the search ends, not with a bang, but with a breath. The simple practice. Let's make this very practical, more practical than any technique or ritual. Try this. Several times a day, pause for 2 or 3 seconds, not long enough to frighten the mind, but long enough to feel the space beneath it. Notice the breath. Notice the body. Notice the moment. Notice that awareness is here, whether the mind is busy or quiet. Do this often enough, and something beautiful begins to happen. Stillness stops being a practice and becomes your resting state. Thoughts become visitors, not rulers. Emotions become waves, not prisons. Life becomes participation, not resistance. Awareness becomes your home. The final turn inward. Now before we end this journey, let me take you into one final depth, the place where stillness and truth become the same thing. Imagine for a moment that every thought you've ever had was written on a sheet of thin paper. Every belief, every fear, every identity, every story. Now imagine holding a match to all of it. Watch it burn gently, easily, as paper always does. And underneath the ashes, there is nothing. But this nothing is not emptiness. It is freedom. It is spaciousness. It is the clear, open sky of your being. This is the stillness that reveals truth. This is the stillness that reveals you. Not the you with a biography, not the you with achievements or failures, not the you with wounds or triumphs, but the you that is aware of all of that, the you that has never moved, the you that has never been touched by time, the you that is still. The closing. So now, as this journey comes to its final breath, I offer you this. You are not becoming still. You are returning to what you have always been. You are not acquiring truth. You are remembering it. You are
This is
not
perfect.
escaping the world. You are rediscovering the one who experiences it. And you are not waking up to something new. You are waking up to something ancient. Let this stillness accompany you. Let it walk with you. Let it breathe through you. Let it reveal the intelligence already guiding your life. And whenever the mind becomes loud again, as it surely will, simply smile, take a breath, and fall back into the quiet awareness that has been here since the beginning. Because in the end, stillness is not where you go to find truth. Stillness is the truth you have been seeking. And it has been here all along.